Hey guys, it's Miss Krystal and I'm gonna talk about some books. But before I talk about books though, I really did want to just give like one last shout out to the used makers market that's coming up Saturday. So it is this Saturday. You just come by. It's literally just a market. And I have a lot of kids that are super excited about selling their stuff. I'm super excited to see what it is that they're making. And yeah, so just come support them. You don't have to buy if you don't want to, but just come and like look around and offer some support to some new young makers in your community. So that's that, and I hope that you come out for that. Now I have a bunch of books. I personally love April because it is National Poetry Month, and I feel like poetry or novels in verse always get like a kind of a bad flack because I don't know. Maybe it's because I think people think poetry is like inaccessible or like weird and pretentious, or I've heard people tell me that like I don't know if it's good, or I don't know if this is like good or not. First of all, everything that's good is subjective. Like if you liked the poem, then it's good to you. You know what I mean? Like that's what I tell people. I don't understand this like weird netherworld of like what's good and bad. But I have 4 that are young adult, and then I have 2 that are juvenile basically. And honestly, you probably could switch in between these like at a certain point. Like if you're in probably 7th grade, you can probably read all of these. But yeah, I'm gonna start with kind of a thin one. This is Knucklehead. This is a Y title, so the first 4 are gonna be Y, just so everybody knows what's going on. Knucklehead it's not a novel in verse. It is a poetry collection, which just means that these poems, I mean, while they do have some things in common, it isn't like a coherent story from start to finish. You do get some value from reading it in order, but you obviously can read it out of order. They're not connected in that particular way. It is by Tony Keith Jr., who is a pretty well-known like spoken word artist. So that is like the vibe that you're getting from this when you're reading. And he says that he's writing it as a dedication to basically like fellow knuckleheads, which I think is it's a phrase that I feel like I haven't heard in a long time. So I kind of love that. And he mostly is talking about Black boys, but I think he's talking about misunderstood kids in general who seem to just always be getting into trouble and always be getting into people's way. And he's like, no, like I see value in you, and this is my dedication and my love letter to that population. So if you know any knuckleheads that might be interested in reading some poetry, or you want to read some poetry, this could be a good thing. Okay, next thing, All the Love Under the Vast Sky. So I really fell in love with this as soon as I read the synopsis, and then I like dove in. It is, okay, what am I thinking about how I want to say this? It's short story collection, but they're all written in verse. So this is they have like all the authors on here. So these are like heavy hitter, like young adult writers, and they're writing a story in poetry format. And there's like a couple stories in here, and they're not connected stories, so you really can just kind of jump around. Like if you start reading a story and you're not feeling the writing, you can just like move on to the next author, which I think is the most like the best thing about reading a varied collection where there's different authors, is that you just move on if you like hate this author, you know. Yeah, the story's very go for it. Yeah. Okay, next thing. Rex Ogle, When We Ride. So this is a story in verse. So this is a coherent story from start to finish. It just happens to be written in poetry form. Rex Ogle is known for writing very like emotionally packed stories that focus on teenage boys. And this is about, I'm gonna say Diego and Lawson. So, and it's their senior year. And Diego is known to be like, he's an achiever, you know, like he's got goals. He's set some goals for himself, so he makes good grades, and he's doing all the right things. And then his friend his very close friend Lawson is a drug dealer. So he's kind of like the exact opposite of Diego. But it kind of follows them through their senior year and how their friendship kind of ebbs and flows. Maybe, you know, Lawson isn't always good for Diego or vice versa. Talking about boundaries, talking about moving on, talking about connections and platonic relationships, especially between teenage boys. So I think it's beautiful. Rex Ogle is always writing something good to me. So yeah. Okay. Last but not least in the young adult section is Skin. So I always say this wrong. Zoe. I should look this up because I literally never know how to say her name, but like, I don't know, you can see it. And Skin, okay, so I'm gonna try to explain this without sounding like crazy, okay? So the two main characters, you've got Marisol and Genevieve. Marisol is 15. Her mom and herself are succinct. I don't know how to say this, okay? But it is Caribbean folklore entity that is usually a shape-shifting witch or crone that usually shifts into a ball of fire and feeds on people's blood while they are sleeping. I know, a lot. So that is what Marisol is. So every new moon, which is like once a month, she sheds her skin, she becomes like a fireball, and she goes out and she feeds on people. And she hates that. She literally hates that. She's like, why do I have to be a magical witch person? And yeah, that sucks. And also I feel like it's supposed to like be alluding to like periods and stuff like that, because it is once a month and it is associated with the moon, which I feel like has a lot to do with like women in general and like shedding skins. And okay, I don't know. Let's talk about it. If you read this, let's talk about it. And the other character is Genevieve, and she is trying to like find herself, and she also has like a terrible skin condition which is wreaking havoc on her life. She has this never-ending hunger, and you kind of see where this is going for Genevieve, but I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. And it is a novel in verse, so it's written like how Rex Ogle's was. It's written as a coherent story. It just happens to be told in poems. So I don't know, go for it. If you want to read some new mythology kind of, then yeah. These next two are going to be my juvenile series, not series, just juvenile books, okay? So, Octopus Moon. Octopus Moon is about Pearl. She's 10, she's entering 5th grade, and she just feels like everything is changing. Her life is hitting her fast, like everything's changing. And more than anything that's changing is like herself and her inner life and her thoughts, and she is struggling a lot with them. And her parents start to notice it. They take her to a psychiatrist who tells her that she is showing symptoms of depression. And so they go into treating her and finding support for her in the best way that's possible. And it's a hopeful story, but it also is very honest, talking about depression. And I think that that's important because I think that actual diagnosed and honest depression in juvenile books is usually not happening. Like, it's usually like this unspoken thing that's happening. So I like that they just came out and said it. And then also I feel like it's cool that you get to see somebody who actually has support, because I feel like a lot of the time when you're reading these books, they're like, that are centered on mental health struggles, it's like, oh, and like no one understands me, like my parents don't understand me, like blah blah blah. Like, she's like, no, like my parents are there for me and they got me help and I have friends. It's just a struggle. Like, even with all that, it's just a struggle. And so I like that they were honest about that. And I don't know, maybe you can get into this too. Okay, last but not least is Glitch Girl. So I am reading Glitch Girl right now, reading/listening to Glitch Girl. It's sort of like memoir-esque, and I love it. It is a lot though, like the emotions are hitting me hard. It's also a story, a coherent story / memoir that happens to be written in poetry format. Some of the poems are super long, some of them are really short. And it is based on, the main character goes by R, which is, you see the author's name is Rainy, but she doesn't say that explicitly because she is dealing with a lot of gender dysphoria in this book. And people, like other characters, refer to her as him. So this is before like coming out, this is before even like real self-awareness about gender dysphoria. So it can be triggering at times with the, misgendering. It can be triggering at times with, there is like some signs of physical abuse going on, some signs of verbal abuse going on. But what was really the standout is that she uses the video game, like, that roller coaster tycoon game that was super popular in the early aughts? I don't know, but I remember. And you used to have to like create these parks, and they'd have all these rules for you to like win the game. And so basically she's playing that, except for she's using it as a metaphor for like her daily life. And so if her park isn't doing well, or if she's like using the park to get out her emotions by like hurting the fictional guests, then that means something. And she also is talking about like having very, very intense loneliness. So yeah, it hits you in the feels. It looks long, but it's really not, because the poems go pretty fast. But yeah, I suggest this for everyone. Anyway, I went a little long, but hopefully you don't mind that, and hopefully you find something that you like. I'll probably see you in a week or so. Who knows? And hopefully you see me in a little bit. And please come this weekend. Seriously, come Saturday. Use Maker's Market. Bye.